of my favorite people. They don't know that, but they are. Mr. Allen and Miss Renee Richardson. Today we are talking about failing at doing business with my spouse. Listen, this is a team that make it look easy, okay? And today they're going to give you some secrets. We're going to learn together. We're going to grow together. And we're going to talk about doing business with our spouse today. Even if you're not married and you plan on getting married, this is for you. No matter what relationship situation box you check, this is for you. So Alan, Renee, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you for having us, Shay.
Yeah, it's a
we
pleasure.
appreciate this moment.
Thank you so much. So these guys are mentors. They are best friends. They are the Marvel Squad at best together. They are all things real estate, and we're gonna get into this topic. You know, we don't take long. So I'm gonna ask you guys this first question. Define doing business with your spouse.
Doing business with your spouse is like playing on the team. You know, you have to have everything together when you're out there doing it. So, you know, even if you have back in the locker room, you know, it's a few little spits and spats, you have to be together when you're doing it, you know, for you know, not just for show, but to be successful. So when you're doing business with your spouse, that's your partner, that's your lawyer, that's your accountant, that's everything in the team, because it's no closing the office, cutting off the lights and see you Monday. You go home every night together. That home is the office, so you got to be intact.
Yeah.
Got it, Renee.
And I think that doing business with the spouse is just spending a lot of time together, definitely listening to each other, sharing, you know, having shared goals, and just supporting each other.
Okay, so you guys both are cohesive. The number one thing I hear is team. So I'm gonna ask you this: who's the coach and who's playing?
I think we both have our moments.
Yeah.
I think we both have our moments. We play all fields. You know?
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because when, you know, it's like how God designed us. You know, I've always been a know-it-all, but he put me, you know, my rib, you know, my wife is a kind of shut me down. Not shut me down in the aspect of, you know, it can't be quiet, but if I think I know it all, when can't anybody tell me anything, she's like pulling my coattail like, oh no. So, you know, I think we're both coaches. We're both, you know, team players. We just switch roles sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and depending on the situation, it really helps because, like I said, if nobody else can tell, we can tell each other, and it works best for us. So even as a man,
I'm glad you said that, because, you know, I had to ask who. There is, depending on the relationship and depending on the people, I do believe that no matter what, some days you're gonna have to play, and some days you're gonna have to stand up and you're gonna have to coach. And so, and not taking anything away from the man being the head of his household, being the husband, being the leader, being the closest thing to God first, and then it's a trickle down effect. Not taking away from that, but sometimes we do kind of switch roles. And so there are some people who are stuck in, no, my husband leads, my husband leads, my husband leads, my husband leads in everything. And so I always say this for the husbands, it's heavy is the head that wears the crown, because you guys carry so much. You definitely, that's why, you know, God created the rib. Y'all need, you know, stability. You're going to need help. You're going to need the teamwork. So that's my spiel on it. But I'm going to the next question. So how long had you been an entrepreneur before dating your spouse?
for me,
Yes.
I have been an entrepreneur for a few years, probably 8 or 9 years in my publishing thing before I dated my spouse. Before my wife, you know, before we got married or together. But you know, I still do it, and she's only enhanced it, you know, since we've been together. So it was like I'm not gonna say it wasn't complete, prior to her, but having her be able to put her input and help me along the way has really enhanced it. So that's what I can say towards it.
So Renee, had you been an entrepreneur before?
No, I hadn't actually. I always had the entrepreneurial drive, which is what led me to enroll in college and on my business degree, which is where I met Alan. So the drive was there, but I didn't launch anything until once we were married.
That's when you became an entrepreneur. So from that aspect, having the drive, what made you officially jump into entrepreneurship? Was it Al? Was it a passion of yours? What was it?
What really happened is I lost a job, and Al pushed me to not return to a 9-to-5. He actually pushed me into becoming an entrepreneur, and it was the best thing that I could have done for myself. Never say never, but I don't see myself returning to a 9-to-5. And I can definitely pat him on the back for pushing me to do this, because it has been nothing but proven to myself, that I'm actually able to do this.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna ask both of you this. When it comes to, I'll ask you, Al, when it comes to you being an entrepreneur, would it have been a bad thing if Renee would have kept working, or would you have just preferred that she stayed one area and you stay in another area? How could you speak to someone that's just like, no, I'd rather just be the entrepreneur and do my own thing and let them do their own?
I think it's situational. For us, it had been like that for a while, and it just took God, because we kept talking about it, and it just took God to, not saying that God, that's why she's not with her job, but it just took, sometimes it takes that sign, where we've been thinking about it, because like she kept thinking about it, and we were okay, we were going, we were doing, what we had to do. I was doing business, she was doing that with the, thinking of, maybe one day, and then when it happened, it just, kind of happened. And for some people, it works like that, where they continue to do that. They have, while the other one does entrepreneurial. But I think as together, as a unit, and as a marriage, if both of you are on the same page, not knocking one or the other, but if both of you are on the same page and doing business, where now is for us, it's not like we're dependent every 2 weeks on anything. We have to get, as entrepreneurs, we have to do what we have to do daily. It's not 9-to-5 or 8-to-4 or 12-to-12. It's 24 hours.
Oh, yeah, I know. until you go to sleep, firsthand. So it's like, I think that as they actually brought us closer, not like that we were closer before, but it's now, is that, we're entrepreneurs, where, business is, together, even though we have our, separate businesses, we still have, our together business as well. And it brought us together. Like I would say, these last years, we've been closer than, we've ever been. Wouldn't you say so?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've been a lot closer.
Awesome. So Renee, let me ask you this. When you transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, what was the hardest thing for you to do in that space?
I think the hardest thing was, first of all, to find customers. That was the hardest thing. But thanks to a few people, they made that easy for me. After a while, because my first thought was, okay, I have this, talent to do this, but I don't have the people to come and grab, what I'm marketing here. However, once a few people,
help you get through, it became easier. Okay, so let me ask you this as well. Seeing your husband be an entrepreneur for years before you got into that space, were you scared at all? Were you nervous about it, even though you had like living proof and a prototype inside of your home?
Yeah, I was worried just a little because, I had to pray about it. I think I just didn't believe in myself, knowing that I had the ability to do this, but also, fear kind of came in, crept in a little. So I had to pray that off of me, that it was a spirit of fear. So I had to just push in. What helped me to believe in myself was the customers that came in return. They kept returning, buying a product. So that let me know that I had a good thing going here. And it kind of pushed me into feeling better about it.
And then Al, for watching her transition into entrepreneur, are you super hands-on, super hands-off, here and there? How are you helping her through it?
I was super hands-on for whatever she needed. Like to support. Like I didn't, try to overpower. That's another good thing, if we were doing is I was there to support. Like, she'll share the story of, what I am, to the business. Can you share that?
Sure. So Al was a big help. The kids and I. So basically, I make the product, but Al delivers the product. So the kids and I came up with the name Uber Al. So again, it just helps, where we assist each other in our businesses. Before we came together in business, we both had our separate businesses, but Al, was a helpmate to me and vice versa. Yeah.
And that push that you said, it's like a hands on, but kind of hands off, if you could say. So like I was just there for whatever, she needed, like I said, the deliveries or, just anything like that, because I know it was new for her, even though the idea was there and I knew she could do it. I always told her she could do it. I was smiling inside when it did take off, kind of full time, because I know that's where, she was meant to be, on her own, doing her own thing, and I had that mindset. So, it was like I said, hands on, but hands off at the same time, just being supportive of any way I can.
And that's awesome, because thank you for supporting her, and Renee, thank you for supporting Al. The reason why I'm thanking you guys is because I've seen couples in business clash, especially if one has more tenure than the other. They tend to step in and kind of take over and don't give the other person the room to expand or to passionately go into directly what they're into. So I love that you were super hands-on when she was like, hey, Al, I need you to go drop these deliveries off. And let's talk about what Renee does. So y'all, Renee makes this bomb popcorn that is just so amazing. And so the popcorn business is what she started when she left. I'm saying you left corporate because you did. You made the decision not to go back. When she left corporate, she started doing popcorn, and this popcorn is bomb, y'all. So that's why they needed Uber Al, because the man was crazy for a minute. So I appreciate the fact that you, as the leader, and then also as the one who has the most experience in entrepreneurship, actually guided her through it, and not just kind of like, you don't know what you're doing, let me go and do this, So that's pretty awesome. So when did you and Renee decide to go into business together?
Now it was God. The opportunity presented itself for us to become realtors. It wasn't easy, not at our, I shouldn't say age, but not just at our level of, what everything we had to go on to stop and, study, do all this. But the opportunity presented itself, God made a way. And so now, not just our separate businesses, things we do, now we're actually in business together.
Yeah.
So that is, it's just, it's great, and even though it hasn't been as long, that long already, but we already are reaping the, just the benefits. And, we're going from just closer to even closer, because now not only are we just businesses together and husband and wife, it's a lifestyle together, and so that makes it just even more joyful. Like they always talk about joined at the hip. I think we joined at the hip, feet, the head, and arms and everything else. So it went from business together to lifestyle together, and so you can
Yeah, same. Definitely turned into a lifestyle together. We now have we have more to talk about. It's career every day. Our conversation is our career, basically.
It just, it's amazing, but like she said, it does consume so much of our time, but at the same time, it's not like we're taken away. Like, in some instances, I think, when you have, couples that are, entrepreneurs, or, one is and one is still corporate, they feel like it's taken away because at 5 o'clock, the one that's in corporate, it ends, and they want that time from the other one that's the entrepreneur 24/7. So it sometimes that causes conflict, and so with us being, we're not taken away, we do want that vacation, every now and then, which we all do, but it doesn't really take away because we're able to talk about, maybe sometimes we shouldn't go to sleep talking about it, but, we do, but it's all because we just,
because we do the same thing.
We do the same thing now.
So I'm glad you mentioned that about one spouse being an entrepreneur and another spouse being in corporate and the times clashing. Because as an employee, you clock out at a certain time. You're like, oh, I'm going home and we can talk, but you're still probably doing calls, still doing presentations, whatever it is that you're doing, especially if you're, in real estate or some form of sales, which entrepreneurship is sales, period. Like no matter how you look at it. And sometimes things do lap over, things do run over. So if you guys would speak to how a couple could balance that out, and what were some of the things that you guys did to still keep the love there, while one is corporate and the other is doing entrepreneurship?
I think finding that balance, we even went to a time where we sat down and talked, and it was like at 10 o'clock the phones go off,